Vera is on their seating. Okay, great. Hope you found your key to the hotel. We're now continuing with RIK VERA, who is an advisor and lecturer on topics like customer centricity and change management, which is what all this is about. So a big hand for Rick, please.
Thank you. My name is Rick. I found out a couple of things today. First of all, not everybody is called Michael in this company. I thought that because my first context was with Michael and the second was with Michael, so I thought, yeah, everybody is Michael or Michaela here, but that's not the case. I'm going to take you on a journey today, on a journey into the new normal and how, as a bank, you can survive in the new normal. I'm going to leave you quite puzzled, and in the end, not. If you see this slide, again, that will be the end of the keynote. And at the end of the keynote, I hope you understand that it's not about what you say to people. It's not about what you do, but it's about how you make people feel that really matters. What people remember is how you make them feel. That'll be the last slide. So if you're looking for the end, look for this slide, and then you know we're there. Anybody that recognizes this car? Who is old enough? Okay, sorry. What is it? DeLorean. It's a DeLorean. It's a DeLorean out of a movie, Back to the Future. Yeah, the DeLorean went for the future in 1985. You know, when the future officially starts, I want to take your smartphones and note this date, 21st of October, 2015. So please don't do any budget meetings on the 21st of October 2015. Do something exciting, because that is the official date that the future begins.
Keep that slide. My kids are
sorry, okay. We're talking about new generation. Everybody's taking pictures. When I do lectures, people say, "Can I make notes?" Then you say yes, and then they take their phone and make notes. That's a new way of making notes. It has happened. A comet called digitalization has struck Earth in between 1995 and this very moment. And a couple of things have been very disruptive. Insurance has been very disruptive. Taxis have been very disruptive. Retail, hotels, booking.com, Airbnb, print. Print is a nightmare. It's like this type of movies. When you know in the end everybody is going to die, the only thing that you have to wait for is who, in which order, and when during the movie. And even music has been very disruptive. You know, iTunes then has been disrupted by Spotify, and now the guys from Apple are trying to fight back. What disruptors do, I can illustrate with this example. This is the Loon project by Google. And Google combines existing elements. The existing elements are that they know the movements of the stratosphere. They know how to launch balloons, helium balloons, into the stratosphere. And they have 4G, and they combine it. So they hang balloons in the stratosphere, send out 4G, and they can cover whole regions fast and easy with 4G. That is disruption. They use existing elements in a new way to find and serve new customer needs, extreme customer needs. So we were there a couple of months ago at Google with a Belgian telecom provider. I can tell you, after the visit, it was very quiet in our bus back to the hotel. Because what they would take, for them that would take 20 years to cover Africa. For Google, it will take a couple of months. That's the difference. That is disruption. So we are being hit by a tsunami. When a comet hits Earth, then you get a tsunami. And when there's a tsunami, you always have to blame somebody. Now, I come from Belgium, so blame the Belgians. It's easy. Finger point, I'm here. Anybody else from Belgium? Oh, you are, yeah, my cameraman, but blame the Belgians. Not because we have invented the electrical doorbell or the electrical tram or the roll-on deodorant. If you are in the tram in summer, then you know why we've invented the deodorant. We've invented the sax, but the sax, not that other thing. But we also invented the www. Now, you don't believe me, but it's true. One of the two founding fathers of the www going public was a Belgian guy. But the reason I'm showing this slide is the date. It was only in 1993. It's not that long ago. It's only 20 years ago. But just imagine your personal life, 1993 and now. And then I'm going to ask you the question, and I don't want the answers because I know the answers. Has your business life changed as much or not? I don't want the answer. If you show this to... That's what happened in between 1995 and now. If I show this to my children, they don't even understand the joke. So the fact that you're laughing is an indication of the average age here. Before 1993, people would look at a painting like this. They would look at the painting. And later on, they would look at the painting like this, through their mobile device. By the way, this is an iPad. Anybody an idea when the iPad arrived? 2010, 2011. It's as if it's been around for all times. No, it's brand new. And then people will start looking at the painting like that. And now people look at the painting like this. They turn their backs and make a selfie. And selfies really run our universe. This is one of my favorite paintings, but this painting nowadays would look like this. And selfies, just Google selfie. It's amazing what you find. Famous people, some like it, some don't like it, some do it with animals. I hope this is a fake one, but this is a real one. It can be dangerous. Dangerous places, very dangerous places, extremely dangerous places. Some people take it too far. This is an X-ray selfie. And this selfie went around 3.3 million times around the world by a device, by a tool called Twitter that was not even designed to send pictures around the world. And even though it was not designed for that, it was sent around 3.3 million times. Just to avoid that we would develop a longer arm to take all the selfies and do a kind of reverse revolution that we end up with long arms, we have invented this fantastic thing. This is the invention of our age, the selfie stick. The selfie stick, pretty ridiculous. We use it at outrageous places. It can even be pretty dangerous. That actually already happened in real life. And it can also be dangerous for other people if you... So, that about selfie stick. But what we can learn from this is the customer holds the key. I've been hearing quite a lot already today that we have to put the customer in the center. That's not a choice. The customer has put himself in the center of the universe. It's not our choice, it's not an option. It is an option, it's a choice that the customer has made. The customer, and that's all of us, we have put ourselves in the center of the universe. And there's more. We're never offline, we're always online. This is a Wi-Fi donkey. Somebody is making a biblical tour and her donkey is Wi-Fi'd. I love that. We live in a world that has been digitalized completely. And in a digitalized world, the internet will disappear. We are the generation that goes on the internet. But we're facing a generation that never goes on the internet because they're always on the internet, so the internet will disappear. And the numbers are mind-blowing. This is what people thought 1 or 2 years ago that would be the number of mobile devices by 2020. They said 25 billion connected devices. But they forgot, they thought about phones. But for the moment we're connecting everything. Everything is connected to everything. It's the internet of everything. And now the latest estimates are 50 billion. And I can tell you, by 2020 there will be far more than 50 billion. Because we are on a very high-end curve. Everything is connected. This is a device, it really exists. And you can train your dog or your pet, and it puts his wet nose to the device, and then you can have a conversation with your pet. This also exists. This is a pacifier, which measures your heart rate and the temperature of your children. So we grow up, or those children grow up in a different world. So we're facing a different species. We're facing a different type of people. People that have grown up in the new normal. And the new normal is the digitalized world. And I consider myself a bit as a dinosaur. I have to be careful that I don't get extinct. So I have to study this new type of people. And what do these new type of people that have grown up as a touchscreen generation that send letters to Santa Claus like this? This is a web page out of Amazon. This is what I want for Christmas. This is the generation that uses a phone but hardly ever makes a phone call. This is the generation that never uses email. My daughters, what does my daughter with emails? From time to time, she selects them all and deletes them. That's how she deals with emails. This is a generation that uses different types of communication than phones or emails. And what do? We still send emails to people that never read emails. The 3 biggest fears of this generation. Today I was on the plane, in the airport, we recognize it. No connection, no Wi-Fi, but the first thing I did, load my mobile phone. Numbers are really mind-blowing. Who's on LinkedIn? Who's not on LinkedIn? Okay, there are people that are not on LinkedIn. I said I would address the HR department here. I reckon that LinkedIn knows probably more about your people than your own HR department. It's not your fault, but it tells a bit about this new world. You know this guy because you're Swedish in most of the cases. I mean the guy on the left, not the guy on the right. The guy on the right is Charlie Chaplin. He was the icon of the last century. Young people don't even recognize him. He was never digitalized, so they don't know him. But they recognize the guy on the other side, known as PewDiePie. And talking about networks, if you won't arrive today, but if you arrive at home tomorrow, and you'll see your children not making their homework, but making a YouTube movie, be happy. Because PewDiePie makes about 7 to 8 million euros on a yearly basis by making YouTube movies. And he's got close to 38 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. These are new forces. And I can tell you a couple of big companies lay awake at night because of these guys with their networks and their power. Just imagine you're Coca-Cola and PewDiePie says for Coca-Cola. And you have a huge problem. The generation that lives by his mobile phone, that has a span of attention that's beaten by a goldfish. A goldfish has got a span of attention of 8 seconds. A human being nowadays has got a span of attention of 7.6 seconds. I haven't invented it. You can find it. It is a fact of life. Our span of attention is that short. So that's quite a challenge for a keynote speaker as well. It is the age in which, especially young people, have a totally different perspective on their privacy. For them, privacy is a completely different kind of thing than for us. They don't even care about privacy. The way those people buy and influence buying will change dramatically, and it will change your world, because you haven't seen anything like them yet. They expect from you a smart, tailored content based on their social graphs, based on the digital traces that they leave for you to pick them up. They expect that they can communicate with you without any barriers. That is 24/7, without any delays. And they want to be able to do that with touch, with gesture, even with intent. That's what they expect. And when they do buy, they'll spread it in their networks. Their networks can make a brand, but they can also kill your brand. Because if you overstep the mark, they'll kill you. They can kill a brand overnight, the networks. So be careful not to overstep the mark. And there are examples. Gap is one of the examples. That was already in 2011, which is the prehistory of social media. When they launched a new logo, there was a lot of protest in the social media, and they went back to the old logo. And for the moment you have, for instance, Abercrombie & Fitch that warns his investors that they most probably have to close 50% of their shops because the young generation no longer likes Abercrombie & Fitch, because their CEO has overstepped the mark a couple of times, and in the social media he's being killed and he's ruined. So it's a story of the flowers and the bees. Until 2010, as a company, you could imagine yourself as a flower. And you would do market research and find out what the bees want. And then you would color your flower a little bit more orange, and you would perfume it, and you would attract more bees. But what we've learned is that the new consumer considers himself as the flower. I'm the flower, and you guys are the bees. And you have to come as I want it. Not too heavy, not too light, in time, not too late, with the right content, with the right message, or you don't get it, because there's plenty of other bees out there. That is the new consumer that has put himself in the center of the universe. So the customer has the key, and the networks have the key. If you want to know more, this is a book of my colleague, Peter Hinsen, who's written a book on The Network Always Wins. I don't have the time to go into detail here, but the conclusion is everything is connected to everything. And if everything is connected to everything, then this happens. My colleague Peter is an engineer, and they like this. This is a very simple movement. If you unhinge one hinge, and if you have two connections, what you get is more my type of mind. I'm a linguist, and my mind is not linear. My mind is more like this, chaotic. So if you have two connections, you get chaos. Now we're talking about a world with hundreds of thousands of millions of connections. You get complete chaos. It's no longer linear. We no longer live in a linear world. Stop linear thinking. It's very difficult if you run a company. I know. I've been running companies myself. You love linear thinking. You love to be able to predict what's going to happen tomorrow. Just imagine that you were responsible within a telecom provider for SMS service in 2010. And you would have to present the future to your board of directors. And this is what you get. What's your prediction? This is your prediction. This is what you do. Linear thinking. And we all know what happened. Rita, you had also a couple of examples to show that we cannot predict the future, no more. This is what happened. WhatsApp, and then SMS service went down. Was he stupid? No, he was not stupid. The only thing he did was linear thinking. It's the end of linear thinking. it's the shark fin syndrome. In all the days you had the Gauss curve, which made it pretty predictable, and you didn't want to be the early adopter because those guys made mistakes. You would look what they did, and then you would adopt it, and you had time to make your money. But nowadays you get the shark curve. There's a couple of hiccups, and then it all of a sudden happens very fast, and it might melt down very fast as well. So following is no longer an option as well. You have to try to invent it yourself. And you'd better see the shark fin coming, because otherwise you might be in danger. You know, we've all seen this video of this surfer. So we're facing a blurred future. A blurred future, and you most probably know this term, VUCA, a world that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and very ambiguous. No more fixed future, a blurred future. Some of us might find that very exciting, and some of us, not really. I hope you're the first kind and not the second kind. It's a tale of the two clocks. As a company, more and more we're facing the very fast external clock and the slow internal clock. And those clocks get more and more out of tune, which is a danger, a huge danger, because if the clocks are out of tune, that might be a danger. If you're still making profit, and I heard that today as well, if you're still making profit, it's difficult to reinvent yourself. I compare this to this type of business model. Just imagine that your business model is putting beach chairs on a beach. What you do, you try to make your market share a little bit bigger, and then you optimize your market share by putting more chairs on the beach, or by asking more money, by giving better service, whatever you do to optimize your business model. And then there's somebody at the beach shouting, there's a tsunami on the way. But you still keep on optimizing your business model. And then all of a sudden your beach gets 2 or 3 meters more wide. What do? Do you run? No, you put more chairs on the beach. That's what you do. It's not because you're stupid, because you're addicted to your margins and to your business model. It's very difficult to say hello to your business model and to move to something else. So the new world might be a challenge, but it's also a big opportunity. And in a new world, it's no longer the big fish that eat the small fish. It's the fast that eat the slow. So you'd better be fast. It's good old Darwin. It's not the most intelligent. It's not the strongest. It's the company that is most adaptive to change. Because change will be there for the next couple of years. It's a given saying, change is the only constant, but that's a fact. So I see more and more companies that are obliged to come up with a new 3-year plan every 3 months. That's reality. Difficult reality if you run a company. And if things have to move fast, then hierarchies are very dangerous. Maybe you recognize this type of hierarchy. Please don't put names on there. That's not why I show it. And your company structure might look a little bit like this, because you're a bank, you're a corporate bank. Maybe it looks like this. This is the company structure of General Motors, and I use this example because of her. You know who she is? Anna Bob. And she became CEO after more than a quarter of a century within General Motors. And in her first week as CEO, she had to call back over 20 million cars because there were a couple of fatal accidents. And then it was investigated. And the report said, and I'm going to read it, General Motors has a dysfunctional corporate culture embedded in a deeply siloed way of working. That was the reason why things went wrong. And she said, we have to change General Motors. Today, everyone colors inside the lines of their own precise job description without thinking independently or holistically. that were the reasons why they failed. So what we learn from this is what the commanding officer of the American troops in Afghanistan soon found out. It takes a network to fight a network. We'd better start changing our hierarchies into networks to be able to connect to the networks out there. The good news is this is never going to happen to you, not in a million years. That's the good news. That's one slide, because of course there is no good news, because the biggest danger is that you're NIMBY. And NIMBY is not in my backyard. NIMBY kills companies. If you think not in my backyard, your company goes down, because it is happening in your backyard. Banks, I can tell you, are a target for disruption. And you already know that, I've seen it. You already mentioned Jamie Dimon. I mentioned Jamie Dimon as well, because a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, he had a press release saying that he lays awake at night, not because of other banks, but because of the startups in Silicon Valley. He said they are willing to eat our lunch. They're going to eat our lunch. And it's not one competitor, it is a couple of hundred of thousands of competitors that all have business models that eat his lunch. He stated that he had underestimated 3 major forces. The first force he had underestimated was the power of digital. The second was that the power of digital had created a new type of customer needs, of customer customer experience needs. And the third was the speed by which it happened. So digital, customer needs, speed. He said, we've underestimated that. That's a mistake that we've made. So the conclusion is, the alien is in your backyard. The aliens are where there is arrogance. The aliens are where there is money. There's money going around in your type of business, I'm pretty sure. Where there is challenge, where there is a complicated customer relationship. And you guys, sorry, I'm a customer, it's still pretty complicated. I'm not your customer, but I'm a bank customer, and it's still pretty complicated. There's high pressure, and there are new customer experiences. There are new customer expectations, and there are new unserved customer needs. These are a number of the things that make sure that the banking industry is open for disruption. And when the world is changing, it's not about complaining about the wind that has changed. It's not hoping that the wind will come back. The best we can do is try to be realistic and adjust our sails. But that's not what disruptors do. Disruptors just write new rules. They just find a new game. They don't even try to adjust. Again, General Motors that said, our industry will see more change in the next 10 years than in the last 50 years. We see new competitors. Google driverless cars, Tesla, all types of new competitors. So your business model, and I reckon that you know this business model canvas by Osterwalder. Now, if you look at this model, where is room for disruptors? Disruptors position themselves in between your value proposition and the customers. You mentioned it. You said that's where disruptors are taking place, in between what we do on the daily business and our customers. That's where disruptors find their way. And what they do is they push you to the left side. They push you to commodity. They push you to the starvation of just doing the commodity stuff. That's the big danger, that they take over your customer relationships. So you better focus on customer relationships. So they use existing elements, they make new combinations, they use digital to the maximum to serve extreme customer needs, because the customer needs are extreme. And if you're facing extreme customer needs, you'd better have extreme customer centricity. I heard that word a couple of times, customer centricity, and I'll come back to that later. You have to go for extreme customer centricity. And extreme customer centricity, the old good is no longer good enough. You have to go for a new type of good. People don't like broken conversations. When they are in a conversation with you to buy a product, you'd better make sure that everybody talks the same language, because close to 50% abandon a conversation, abandon buying your product if there is a broken conversation. People, 92% hate to give the same information twice. Okay, it tells a lot. People are willing to switch brand after 3 negative experiences. 2 negative experiences, that's okay. 3 is 1 too much. That's why the reason for that is we still count like the reptiles, like the birds. 1, 2, 3, many. So 3 negative experiences, 1 too much. So if you have a CRM system, and if you know that a customer has had 2 negative experiences, there should be a red light, and do something about it before there is a 3rd one. And people don't like one size fits all. People like to be treated like an individual. This guy, there's a Dutch lady in here that most probably recognize him, is Dick Bruna. He is my king of less is more. He's an illustrator and he's the king of less is more. And I love less is more, that's why I have so many slides. He's created Miffy. And Miffy, his character, is the absolute example of simplicity. And there's a simple rule that you need to remember when you want to put the customer in the center. And that's a simple formula. The formula says Km times MIM times 1C. That's the formula. First part of the formula is know me. As a customer, know me. I'm unique. Recognize me. And treat me like an individual. The second is make it matter. If you do something for me, make sure that it matters to me, that it's on my size, that it makes me tick. And the last one is have one conversation. You all have to talk the same language. That's not to say that you have to tell exactly the same story, but your story should be in line, because otherwise I don't trust you anymore. So that's a simple one. Your biggest challenge is how can you connect to many and engage individuals. That's what you need to do. Connect to many, but engage every single individual. So customer first without compromise. My other colleague, with 3 of us, has written this book, When Digital Becomes Human, because I'm not a believer that everything has to be solved digitally. I'm a big believer in human and in human touch. We all know this from school. The choice that you have between product leadership, service leadership, and cost leadership. Forget about this. This is no longer valid. Forget about this model. Try to think about the model in which you use computers and IT to meet customer expectations, and you use humans to beat them. We were talking about trust. Trust is meet expectations and beat expectations. Use technology to meet and make no mistakes, and use humans to do more than that and to beat expectations. That is what you need to do. And therefore, we have developed this new model. And the center of the new model is customer intimacy. Know me, make it matter, have one conversation. And on one side, you use technology to meet expectations, to do operational excellence, use computers and IT to the maximum, to help people, to enable people to be able to do that, so that people can focus on the other side to beat expectations using technology. People should bring passion, people should bring emotion, and people should bring creativity. And it has to be the combination of the two. And the combination of the two is that you have, and I have heard the word transformation quite a couple of times today, you have to transform on 2 axes. You have to transform on the digital axis, and at the same time you have to transform on the human axis. People have to use technology to make customers smile. That's what they need to do. I always use this example. Has anybody ever slept in a Citizen M hotel? That's an experience. They have digitalized everything which is boring. Check-in, check-out, and all that other stuff, which we all hate because it takes so much time and it's so annoying. That has been digitalized. And they don't have people that work for Citizen M, they have ambassadors. And they are selected because they smile, because they are friendly, because they are open, and they bring a human touch. They've done that in a brilliant way. Once you have been at Citizen M, it's difficult not to criticize any other hotel afterwards. They are a perfect example of combining that human acts and that digital acts. And also this simplicity. Make it simple. It's like a joke. If you have to explain a joke, it's no longer a joke. If you have to explain a user interface, it's no longer a user interface. So therefore I like this MIFI. It's a simple rule of MIFI. And MIFI is extremely simple, easy to understand, such easy to remember, and MIFI is always customer facing. Everything she does is customer facing. She's always customer facing. This is what you have to remember. The conclusion of this is that you have to combine extreme customer centricity, not because it's an option, but because it's a must. You can only do that technology enabled. Use technology as an enabler, not as something that you need or that takes over, no, as an enabler. And if you combine those two, you can go for selling without selling. You no longer sell somebody to something to a consumer. You facilitate the consumer buying from you. That's a big difference. Extreme customer centricity, technology enabled, selling without selling. And if you want to drive that into your organization, this is the magic formula to change. There need to be a dissatisfaction with the actual situation. Convince people that this is no longer the way to do it. It's more or less what I've been doing. Provide people with a vision. And the vision is very easy. Customer first. And then the last one is show them the first steps. People need the first steps as well, because otherwise they will not change. And it's a formula, it's a multiplication. So every aspect is important. And only then the total of that can be bigger than the natural resistance of people to change, because people don't like change. To provide them with a vision is simple. It's all about creating wow customer experiences. It's all about sex. But in this case, customer experience and not that other one, because we live in a customer experience society. This is a perfect example. Starbucks is all about customer experience. People pay more for an experience than they pay for good service, and they pay for a good product than they pay for good production. So the closer you get to a fantastic customer experience, the more money you get. There's money in it. Customer experience, this is the Nokia example. Maybe you already know that. Who had a Nokia in 2004? Yeah. If I show this, everybody says it's the best phone I've ever had. The battery lasted for a whole week, I reckon. Who has still a Nokia? Okay, you were all satisfied with this phone. Nokia has done nothing wrong. But then there was another brand that came with something more sexy, that other sex, customer experience, and they pushed away Nokia. That's what happened. It's all about customer experience. Harley-Davidson. The value proposition of Harley-Davidson, it's nothing about motorcycles, nothing about good service, good quality. The value proposition of Harley-Davidson is we offer a 50-year-old accountant the opportunity to wear a leather jacket and to feel a boy again. That's another word for midlife crisis. And talking about privacy, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. I'm in the mid of their target audience, I never get an advert for Harley Davidson. So what about privacy? They still don't get all the elements to bring it all together and to offer me a Harley Davidson. So, but that's the value proposition of Harley Davidson. So the CEO of a company has to become the customer experience officer. He's no longer the one that drives the operations. He's the one that should put the customer in the center of everything that you do. And it's no longer about business to business or business to consumer. It's about human to human. That is the riddle of the digitalization of society. We've never been closer to our customers, and the customers have never been closer to us. And it's all about human to human. Human interface is the most important. Connect to many, engage individuals. These are the last slides. If you want to really create a customer-centric organization, you have to connect to a brain, because as a consumer, I'm a brain. So connect brain to brain. And to be able to connect brain to brain, the first thing you need is your senses. These are your touch points. Create as many touch points as you can. Don't ever limit the number of touch points, but make sure that you use your touch points to listen passionately. Most companies create touch points to speak. Create your touch points to listen, and to listen with passion. Most of the cases we speak with passion, but we also have to learn to listen with passion. And only then tell our story with passion. And make sure that you all tell more or less the same story, because we've seen that people don't like that companies don't tell the same story over all those touch points. And work like a network. So forget about the old hierarchies, which are making you far too slow. So the closer you get to your customer, the more your company needs to be liquid. The deeper you go into operations, procedures are very much okay. But the closer you get to your customer, the more you have to be liquid. And that means that you have to empower people to be liquid. We've seen that job descriptions can be killing an organization. Instead of job descriptions and procedures, you have to go for attitudes and values. Every time I'm in Vegas, I visit Zappos, because I love the company because of their culture for values. They train people in understanding the values of the company, and if you know the value of the company, you know what type of attitude you need to take when you deal with customers, which is far more important than procedures. And that is almost my last slide. Kill the old KPIs. If you really want to know whether you are still an inside-out company or an outside-in company, look at your KPIs. If your KPIs are still product-related, numbers of products that you sell, profit that you make, you're still an inside-out company. The very moment you start with KPIs, the other way around, first you measure how your products make people feel. And if people are happy, they'll buy more. They buy more often. They tell other people. Your profits will raise, etc., etc., etc. So your KPIs kick out the old KPIs. Now you look at me and say, yeah, but that will never happen. So I brought one example. Obvion, which is a Dutch financial company, not a banker, but a financial company, has no financial KPIs. I invite everybody of you to join me and to go and visit that company and talk to the management. They don't no longer measure how much they sell to a consumer. They measure how it makes a consumer feel and what the consumer thinks about it. And they know if that is okay and if that is going up, our profit will go up as well. Then the most profitable company in their segment in the Dutch market. And it's the only one without financial KPIs. Have the guts to kick out your financial KPIs. Kick out the old KPIs. And as long as the old KPIs is there, you're still inside out. Sorry to say.
I'm the CFO.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But your numbers will get better as a result. So deliver wow. That's what you do it for. Now, I promised you this would be the last slide, and now you understand why this is the last slide. It's not about what you tell people. It's not about what you do. It's about how you make customers feel. They will remember that, and they will bring your profitability by a feeling. So you're all customer experience agents for your company. That is my final conclusion. And I want to thank you for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. So how do we feel? Energized. How do you feel, Mikael?
Absolutely energized, but what's the black swan? I mean, no era has been sustainable so far, at least according to history. So, I mean, this is one part of it, but we also live in a larger context, nations, and all of that. How do you see that evolving?
I'll take it from another angle. I talked about disruptors. I'm not a big believer in sustainability of disruptors. And I heard you saying more or less the same, Rita, earlier, because they don't have heritage. They don't have the elements. In this building there's Lego. I love Lego. What I do when we help companies is decompose their Lego. Decompose what they've built, take the building blocks, put those building blocks on the table, put the customer in the center, but use the existing building blocks to create something around the customer. And that is everything that you've learned, everything that you know in your heritage, and combine that to something new with the customer in the center.
If this is true, why do we then have an environment with so many angry parties, more outsiders than ever?
Angry at you mean?
No,
yeah.
I would say if you look at where people are voting, if you look at the insider-outsider problem, and this disbursement of wealth, is this all sustainable? I can understand it on the micro level,
yeah.
No problem, but if we aggregate things, it doesn't see that we are solving some of the challenges out there. So that's why I just want to...
I don't grab the nature of the question by, I mean, yeah, sorry.
I mean, more money is with less people.
Yeah.
We have enormous urbanization trends.
Yeah.
There is more costly to live in the urban areas, and with 30% of people in the urban areas are getting more in the wallet. So what I'm saying is that we are creating a two-tier sub-society as we speak.
Yeah.
And still we have all this fantastic evolution. So to me, it's still a conflict. It doesn't really all make sense. And
yeah. What you see more and more in that two-tier society is that the tier down below, they create a totally new type of company, of society, in which networks are really becoming very important, and they're more and more self-supporting. And I see this can be a huge threat for companies like you, or that can be an opportunity. Again, it's about making connection to networks, and making connection to networks is damn difficult to do. And it's not something that you can impose. You cannot impose, okay, now I want to connect to that network. It has to happen. And the network has to allow you. And that is one or two within the network have to allow you, and then spread it in the network. But you never know who that two people are. Therefore, you better be friendly and open to every individual, because every individual can be your connection to a network. Can be the one that leads you into the network, or can be the one that bans you from the network. So again, it's connecting to many, and then using technology and IT to be able to do it on what they want, on their social graphs, on their needs and demands, to make a connection. And then they might allow you into their network, whether it's the high-end network or the low-end network. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
We will now have 2 more presentations from 2 more teams. Somebody told me that I was too lenient, but not. I was too nice to the other ones. So we have tried to manage the expectations for the new teams. So please be sure to be short and sweet. Okay, thank you. Martin, I think we will start with you then. Or did I mix them up now? No? We'll start with Martin.